In today's episode, I get to speak to the incredible Zoe Mullings. She's a psychic medium, a Reiki master, reflexologist, and meditation guide. She is just the most fascinating woman. We touched on the topics of trust, surrender, the balance of light and dark, in aid of healing. There was also past lives, reincarnation. Yeah, it was an incredible chat, and I'm so lucky to speak to her. Please do like and subscribe because there will be more videos coming out like this. Enjoy. What if science and spirituality were the same thing, just in different languages? We know from physics that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So if everything in the universe follows that rule, what about us? Could the soul too be part of that never-ending flow? The law of conservation of energy is simple. Energy never disappears, it only changes form. Light becomes heat, chemical energy becomes motion. Even when something burns out, its energy transforms, moving through the world in a new way. Our entire universe runs on that principle. For thousands of years, people have said that the soul never dies, that when the body stops, our essence continues. And when you think about it, that sounds a lot like physics, right? If energy only changes form, maybe consciousness does too. When we die, the body's physical energy, the heat, the chemistry, the motion, returns to nature. But what about awareness, love, or memory? Some believe that energy transforms too, into another state, another dimension, another kind of being. But science can't measure that yet. The pattern is everywhere. Transformation, not destruction. Science studies matter. Spirituality studies meaning. But both whisper the same truth. Nothing truly disappears. Maybe when we die, it's not the end, just a change of form, like a wave returning to the ocean it came from. Because in the deepest sense, energy never dies, and maybe neither do we. Good morning, everyone. Here we have the beautiful Zoe with us, who is a psychic medium, a Reiki healer, a reflexologist, and a meditation guide. Basically, she's a master of so many things, and I'm so excited and happy to have her with us. So, hi, Zoe.
Hello and good morning. It's lovely to be chatting to you today.
Yeah. So, Zoe, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I think you kind of encaptured it all succinctly. I'm a psychic medium. I work with people for psychic readings, often using tarot or oracle cards and bringing through their loved ones from spirit. I'm a Reiki master, so I work with people to help them on their healing journey. And also teach Reiki to those people who want to learn. I'm a qualified reflexologist, so if Reiki is not for you, then reflexology might be a mode of healing. And I also qualified as a meditation guide, really to help my children. They are there's a number that are neurosparkly, and learning to meditate when you're neurosparkly is quite challenging. It's
Yeah.
challenging anyway, but I went down that path to kind of help and support them and sometimes provide help and guidance to others. So I guess if there's anything spiritual, anything healing wise, I'm interested in it. I love crystals and do crystal healing. Uh,
Fantastic.
with both people and animals, and I just love what I do.
Yeah. Oh, and your collection behind you is just amazing. It's so beautiful. I love it.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and how you mentioned about your way into kind of the meditation side, um,
Mm.
that kind of that lived experience of my children. How
Yeah.
can I help them? And I'm finding more and more with people that when they go into their specialties, it's
Mm.
because of something that's happened in their lives.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I think when it came to meditation, I'm neurosparkly myself. I have two neurosparkly children, and meditating is massively beneficial for all of us, right? And as you practice Reiki and you practice mediumship, it becomes even more important to learn how to meditate, to open and close your chakras, to find that inner guidance, that inner peace, and to be able to communicate with spirit, but also for that sort of self-healing journey and mindfulness that is important to everyone, regardless of your beliefs. And it's really challenging when someone tells you to meditate to know what to do.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
it's really difficult if you're neurosparkly and you have a very busy brain to then, because people say, "Oh, empty your thoughts and just think about nothing." Well, I can't think about nothing for 20 seconds, let alone
Yeah.
10 minutes. And so I went down this journey to kind of understand the different types of meditation, what works for different people,
Yeah.
hints and tips, and just by practicing, you kind of find out what things can and don't work.
Yeah.
And that's been massively beneficial for me and for my children, me with the work that I do, and them for their healing and mindfulness. And
Brilliant.
we will do sessions together as a family. Sometimes they'll do it as individuals, depending on how they're feeling.
Oh, I love it. I'm a big fan of meditation. So yeah,
It's
you're preaching to the
massively
choir there.
important. And I think,
Yeah.
going back to COVID, it was one of the things that even like traditional Western medicine was recommending, to keep everybody's sane during what
Yeah.
was a global pandemic. It's one of the key recommendations. It's like take some time, be mindful with yourself, and try to meditate if you can. But if you have no um, idea how to do that, it's like being handed a bicycle for the first time and being told to ride it when you've
Yeah.
no idea what to do.
Absolutely. And whenever you say meditation as well, there can be that thing of, oh, okay, meditate. I have to go sit in a church hall and chant Om.
Yeah,
And it's just not that at all, is it? It can be
no,
so varied.
it can be so varied, and you can do it while you're doing the washing up. I always think with meditation, people think they've got to clear large chunks of their day.
Yeah.
But I always say it's a bit like brushing your teeth, trying to do it 1 hour, not doing it at all, and then doing an hour before you go to the dentist
Yeah.
on your annual visit is not ideal. That's not going to cure the problem that you've got with your teeth. So it's better to do just a couple of minutes on a more frequent basis
Yeah.
than it is to try and do large chunks.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I love
this
it.
should be like a daily routine, a daily practice. You brush your teeth, you brush your hair, you wash your face, take a couple of minutes of mindfulness. And whilst we all have busy lives, I'm sure if we're honest with ourselves, we could all take a couple of minutes away from doom scrolling because we all know
Oh,
we do it.
gosh, yeah.
Uh, we could take 2 minutes away from that and spend 2 minutes just being mindful with ourselves. And it's a hard habit because it's a
Absolutely.
habit,
Yeah.
uh, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh,
It's like
brilliant.
just learning to stop biting your nails, isn't it?
Yeah, you just have to, it's as you said, habit and it's practice. And it's like
Yeah,
it becomes like muscle memory eventually, but
yeah.
it takes time.
I bet if you did it once a day for a month, by the time you'd done it once a day for a month,
Yeah.
it would just become part of your daily routine.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you mentioned healing quite a lot in there.
Yeah.
So what does healing mean to you?
I think I think healing works on a lot of levels. I think healing is really, for me, that healing and energy are intrinsically linked. And so when we think about energy, energy is around us and it's within us all the while.
Mhm.
And I think when it comes to healing, what we're doing is kind of harnessing that energy. We've all walked into a room and felt oh, the energy in this room feels off.
Yeah.
We've all had that experience that our hackles have gone up because we felt like something's out of kilter or off. And that energy, that sort of negative energy or positive energy, can permeate into us and affect how we're feeling. So all of a sudden, we feel that negative energy, and all of a sudden, we're anxious.
Yeah.
We're going into fight or flight mode because our body's producing more cortisol because we don't know what's going to happen next. And so it has a biological response within us when we feel that energy level on a real base level, within every atom there is energy.
Yeah.
And if we think about even things like Newton's basic laws of physics, everything has an equal and opposite reaction,
Yeah.
right? So vibrations never leave. Everything has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we as human beings can hold negative energy in our bodies and it can manifest itself in different ways for different people.
Hmm.
And I think we recognize that now. Like if you look on Mind's website or you look on the NHS's website, you can see that there are physical conditions associated with anxiety and depression, whether that's neck pain or headaches or IBS symptoms, or
Yeah.
certainly conditions that are aggravated by anxiety and depression. And that's all about energy and low mood.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to help balance that energy within us
Hmm.
is because you have to have light and dark, right? There's balance everywhere in the universe, equal and
Yeah.
opposite reaction. But anything we can do to keep that energy within us balanced and centered is positive towards our health and well-being, and it can help us shift into a state where we are healing and we're moving past those negative energies that we're holding in
Yeah.
different places.
Amazing. And the conversation about the light and dark as well,
Mm.
that's really important because if we live in the light 24/7, that's not reality. That's not, and we're never
No.
going to heal properly as well. We have to look at the dark and we have to venture into that shadow side to be
Oh,
able to get that balance.
absolutely. And I think we've all experienced anxiety, and it's well known, like with social media, where we're looking at social media and it's like everybody's life is perfect. My
Yeah,
life isn't perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. It's just a front that they're presenting to the world. And so
absolutely.
bad things will happen to
Yeah,
good people. That's about being human and being in the physical realm. And so there is always light and dark, but how do we balance ourselves? How do we center ourselves so as we can take those learnings and move forward in our on our lives and make the best of the lives that we have? Nobody is going to be happy all the time, but everybody deserves to be okay most of the
yeah,
time.
fabulous. Oh, I like that. Okay. And with healing, obviously, we each go on our journeys, don't we? And we pick
Hmm.
things up on the way and we change and we move. What has healing, the definition of that, changed over time for you?
Absolutely. I think initially I got into it. I have a very curious mind. So
Yeah.
if I don't understand something and it interests me, like healing did, and mediumship and tarot cards and all of that, I then have to go and investigate it. And
Yeah.
I learn by doing. I'm a kinetic learner. So it's whilst I can do lots of research, I then have to do it to understand it and see how it works and see the effects of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I ended up doing. I got really curious about tarot cards. I started exploring what readings were like. I then started doing some mediumship. I then went on my Reiki journey at the same time in kind of a parallel to this mediumship because I found that my Reiki attunements were actually speeding up my spiritual awakening on the other side.
Yeah.
And so it was almost about me healing from the physical world at the
Yeah.
same time as developing that connection with the wider universe, which is very special to me.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And you mentioned the Reiki attunements and
Mm,
like your psychic kind of abilities growing together. I
mm.
found that myself actually when
Yeah.
I had my first Reiki attunement. It was like an opening.
Yeah.
and everything just started flooding in because I'd always had flutters as a kid of being able to
Mm,
see and hear and feel things from other people. But I
mm.
always put it down to me being a bit weird or that everyone else could do it. And that was just like, you know, yeah, just a little bit normal, maybe that, oh, so everyone can feel how that person feels when they walk in the room, or,
Yeah.
but then the Reiki attunement happened and I started seeing things, like actually seeing inside people's bodies and
Mm.
hearing thoughts and seeing loved ones that they had. And it's just fantastic that Reiki can open up so much for you.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of the attunements and practicing Reiki that definitely developed it. I've always been able to see things, see particularly pets that have passed or people that have passed. But I kind of put that to the back of my mind because I kind of assumed that other people could see it too, and B, I think we are conditioned to not talk about things that aren't socially acceptable. And so, depending on what circle of friends you've got at the time,
Yeah.
you can be a little bit fearful of saying, "Hey, did you see that person just walk by the window when?"
Absolutely.
Or did you feel that cat rub around your legs when clearly there's no cat in the room? And
Yeah.
and so you don't always say those things. But as I've learned to develop my talents, I think I've probably found my voice with it a little bit more, and I'm happy to talk about it. But they definitely grew together. There was just something innate within me that was looking to break out, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and did you find that? So there's that kind of the balance that we were talking about and
Mm.
finding that balance, which comes with healing. Did you find that your abilities increased or you were able to see and hear and feel more the more that you kind of found your balance? Or,
Yeah, absolutely. The more I've kind of found my balance, the more I've been able well, and I think there's an element of trust, isn't there? So
yeah,
once you start and you particularly when you start practicing with other people, you might be giving a reading or doing a healing, and you'll be able to say, "Hey, I feel like there's a problem with your toes. I know you haven't told me, but," and then they go, "Actually, yes, I stubbed my toe a week ago and I've got a wound that's not healing particularly well." Or I'm getting your grandma through. She's wearing this pink sweater and a chain of pearls, and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's my grandma." And so the more you are able to practice, the
yeah,
more you're able to trust the stuff you're getting through, and then you become more confident. So it's that kind of ever increasing circle of I saw it, I said it, somebody validated it, so I know that I'm going in the right direction. And every time that happens, it kind of snowboards and builds on itself. I've been fortunate enough to have some incredible mentors that have helped me on my journey and been part of several circles, both healing and mediumship circles that have really helped. And
yeah,
so I think for any medium, even if you're really experienced, being part of a circle helps you to hone your practice and to um, work with some peers, like-minded individuals, because
yeah,
depending on where you're located, it can be a little bit isolating at times if you don't have a tribe when you're
yeah.
starting out.
And it's important as well to have that tribe because if
Yeah.
you're then going out and healing other people and dealing with people's grief and pain and all that
Mm.
so often, it's good to have someone to lean back on and be like, hey, do you know what? Today was tough. Can I talk to you about, what's going on with you? And maybe we can have this joint kind of conversation where we support each other.
Yeah.
Because I know when I do a lot of Reiki healing or my psychic readings or things like that, that it can take its toll on you. You hear some really incredible but painful things from people. And
Yeah.
being able to keep your energy clear and not be influenced by other people's can be quite a juggling act.
It's definitely tiring.
Yeah.
Um, Particularly if I'm at an event and I can do several readings or healings back to back. I make sure that I've got protection on, but I also will make sure that I give myself time to rest the following day. I drink plenty of water. The next day needs to be a rest day because I know I'm not going to have a massive amount of energy. I
Yeah.
might still take the dog for a walk but I try not to overcommit myself with appointments and things the following day
Yeah.
because I know that by being a conduit for that healing energy or for that life force energy for the people I'm working with, um, can have that. I need to take that time to recenter again and to
Yeah.
rebalance and to make sure that I'm okay, because it can be really draining. And you do hear of mediums and healers that get burnout as a result of um, working.
Hmm.
And then, not every reading or healing is perfect. It's not that sort of spiritual growth, and it's not a straight line trajectory, is it?
Hmm.
You will have some that are great, and the majority will be great, but there'll be ones where you have a sitter that isn't connecting with you
Yeah.
for whatever reason, and that's okay because it could just be that your energies are misaligned, or I've certainly had when I've been doing mediumship readings, you can have a sitter that really wants to connect with one person that's passed.
Yeah.
And it's not always that person that comes through.
Yes.
And I can't, whilst I can ask their loved ones for steps to step through, their loved ones
Yeah.
have a choice. And if that loved one did not want to step through today, I can't make them.
Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
you wanted to speak to your dad and I've got your mum, well, I'm sorry about that, but
Yeah.
that's kind of out with my control. And sometimes that can be difficult for the sitter, and
Mhm.
it can, as a medium, that can be difficult for you because you want everybody that comes to you to have the best experience possible, and so you kind of have to work on how dealing with that and managing that.
Yeah, and it's almost like people expect you to just be able to step through on the other side and just grab that person and bring them through and be like, right, you are going to sit and talk. And as you said, it's
Yeah,
choice, isn't it? They have a choice, we have choices.
yeah,
And I had one lady who came to me and she was like, right, I've got this work situation. I need to know when I need to sign this paperwork or when this thing is going to come through. And I was like, I can try and ask, but that might not be the message that you need to hear today. The message that you might
yeah,
need to hear is on how to relax or, how to not be in control of everything all the time. And then that will
yeah,
help you with when that paperwork's going to turn up because your control over it will be less. But yeah, managing
yeah.
expectations of clients is a huge one, actually.
It is, yeah. And it's whether that's readings or healings, because some people think, oh, I'm gonna jump out of the chair or off the bed and I'm going to be cured of 30 years of back pain. Well, that back pain didn't establish overnight, and one Reiki treatment is
No.
not going to it may well help you, but it's not going to do it on its own. And even then, I think we recognize with any healing or with medicine, it needs a multimodal approach, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not just one thing that fixes you often. It's often a combination. Even if you get a minor infection, you might need antibiotics from the doctor. You probably need to take paracetamol and ibuprofen. You probably need to take lots of water. You probably need to sleep. All of those things help you recover from the problem you've got. And Reiki or healing or reflexology is just one of those elements that you can add into that treatment plan to
Yeah.
help you along that way. And I think a lot of people I've spoken to have found adding those elements in really beneficial to speeding up their healing process. So
Yeah.
it's not, and for a lot of people, particularly with long-term conditions, they need to be seen on a regular basis, just the same as you might need to take regular medications for pain relief or have regular blood tests at your doctor.
Yeah.
It's something that we add in along the other sides, other stuff that you're doing to move you on that path.
Yeah. And everyone's different as well, aren't they? So what might work for you
Yeah,
might not work for me. And I think that's beautiful in a
Yeah,
way because, and it's finding that balance, the kind of the right person to go to, as you would like a therapist, or finding
yeah.
the correct,
One
as you said, the
counselor
correct
is
therapist.
not going to be the right person for everyone,
No,
is it? You
no,
know,
absolutely.
it's the same thing.
Um,
And everybody has different past life experiences. So
yeah,
you might have back pain, somebody else might have back pain, but you might have had past life experiences that are affecting that back pain differently.
yeah,
Are there childhood issues that we're holding on to? Have we had an accident in the past that is causing the mechanics in that area of the body to be inflamed? So although you might have three or four people that are coming to see you with back pain,
yeah,
the causes of that can wildly different, and so the experience of everybody will be wildly different as well. We're
absolutely.
all
So,
unique. Not one of us is the same.
and the past lives things as well. That's something that I haven't delved into too much because that feels a bit like a wormhole for me.
Mm,
Because once I start, I'm never going to want to
yeah,
stop with that, and that can be quite
yeah.
yeah, infectious, I think, and just quite exciting for me.
Mm. Well, going back to past lives with healing, we talked about earlier that energy never goes anywhere, right?
Yeah,
So when somebody passes, that energy then goes into spirit and we may be able to call them through. But when they're no longer then remembered by anybody on this earth, they
yeah,
could then come back as a spirit guide or they could regenerate and be reincarnated into a human. At least that's what I believe is that energy of their soul,
yeah,
which we know everybody has soul energy. If you've ever it's not a nice experience, but if you've ever had to say goodbye to a loved one and you've had to visit them in a morgue, they are all of the energy has kind of gone with
yeah.
from them, and we know that that energy can't just go nowhere. It has to
No.
go somewhere. Those electrical impulses and vibrations that have been happening in their body for however many years
Hmm.
haven't just disappeared.
Yeah,
They haven't gone into some kind of black hole. So I I know I've done past life regression and I'm aware of several past lives.
yeah.
And it's fascinating.
So, and it's that
Fascinating how
energy
we
doesn't die, does it? It just transforms.
no,
So, past lives make
just
sense.
transform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Why
and
why wouldn't it?
yeah, absolutely. And so I think I definitely do want to look into that past life regression type
Mm,
route because I think that holds so many answers as well. And the memories as well.
yeah.
Like when you have kids that come up to you and they're like, "Oh, my name's such and such," but that's not the actual name that they've been given in this life, and they have memories of like wars that have gone on or streets. They're like, "I know exactly where I'm going," and you're like, "How do you know that? You're 3." How is that
Yeah.
influencing you right now?
Yeah, it hasn't come from nowhere. And I think children, because they are completely innocent, they don't have the conditioning yet that we've grown up with that tells them that that's not normal,
Yeah.
or that's a bit weird. And so they will completely innocently tell you these things. And I think it's beautiful, and it should be that sort of innocence of children should be harnessed and
Absolutely.
not dampened, which unfortunately happens more than it should.
Gets crushed out of us in schools and with, yeah, growing
It
up. It's
does,
quite
doesn't it?
sad. Yeah. Do you think that souls that have passed on then can help us with our own healing?
Oh, absolutely. I know when I am doing Reiki myself, I will invite my spirit guides through. I will ask for my the sitter whether there's any loved ones in spirit that want to come through to help with the healing, or if they have any spirit guides that want to come through and help with the healing. And sometimes they will come through, not always. It depends on the person, but
Mm.
often I get visions while I'm doing healing of spirit guides or loved ones that want to help. And often when I'm sitting doing a reading for someone and their loved ones come through, they will say, "Oh, I'd really like it if you meditated and spent some time with me. So, ask me to come through and I'll be there for you." Which is a lovely message to be able to give a sitter.
Hmm.
But they're definitely there. They're wanting to connect because they still love us as much as they did when they were here, right? That
Yeah.
doesn't go anywhere either. Love is an energy and it's very pure, the purest energy of all, I believe. And so why would that disappear just because you cannot physically hug them the way that you
Yeah.
used to?
The meat suit's
Your
gone, but the
parents and
soul still
grandparents and
exists.
friends still want the best for you, don't
Yeah.
they? They don't want you to be in pain or suffering. They still love you and want to care for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
you spoke a bit earlier about trust, that when you're doing your
Mm.
readings, you have to trust yourself that the message that's coming through is actually the message. How can you tell what is actually a spiritual message and what is just like that mind noise that goes on in our daily lives?
Um, I think there's a couple of things. Before I start doing any readings, I always make sure that I'm calling in my guides. I meditate to make sure my chakras are open. So as I am making sure that I am in the best place possible to receive any messages. And you know what? For the majority of the time, you cannot know for sure until you say it. And
Yeah.
and so and so I I always think whatever comes to me, I'm just going to say it because it can be the most random things
Yeah.
that are actually, it are actually what needs to be said.
Hmm.
And even you can have a sitter who you'll channel through a piece of evidence and they'll be like, no, no, that doesn't sound right. And they'll come back to you a week later and they'll be like, actually, I I do have you talked about a silver tea tray. I do have one that they gifted me for my silver wedding anniversary, and
Yeah.
I'd just forgotten about it because it's up in the loft. It's not in daily use, and so there are things that when the sitter has a busy mind as well,
Hmm.
and a lot going on, that sometimes they need to take a moment to digest the reading or
Yeah.
the healing that's happening too. But I think it's a bit like the TV show, say what you see. So whatever you
That's
see,
it. Yeah.
say it. Because if you have to just say it, because it can be the most random thing that
Yeah.
people really identify with. I've had all sorts through. It's like, what, tell me about your socks because this person really wants to talk about your socks, or
Yeah.
tell me about the tin of sweets your granddad always used to have because he's got this gold tin and he's insistent we talk about this tin of sweets. So
Yeah.
it can be really, really minute details, but actually they're the things we remember about our loved ones, aren't they?
Absolutely. And it's just brought up a memory actually. I once had a client who came to me for Reiki. And
Yeah,
whilst I was doing Reiki, I heard dad, dad, dad. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, right, something with dad. And then I saw this image, and it's to say what you see. And I saw this image of dad pulling his trousers down and showing me his bum. And I
yeah,
was there like, oh no, please don't ask me to tell this lovely lady that her dad is stood there pulling his bum out and
yeah,
showing me. But so I sat down with her afterwards and I said everything else that I'd seen in the Reiki session. And then I said, right, okay, so has dad passed on? Has dad died? And she goes, yes, when I was younger. And I was like, okay, well, dad's standing there and pulling his trousers down and showing me his bum. And she burst into tears. And I was like, okay, I'm really sorry. I don't want to upset you, but he's laughing. It's a positive message. He's laughing. And she said, as a kid, I used to pants my dad all the time.
yeah,
And that was our thing. And she said, one of the last times I saw him, I pantsed him, but he wasn't wearing underwear. So his bum was
ah,
hanging out. And she was like, only my dad and I know that. I have not told anyone else. And the next day I got a message from her. That was the message I needed to go to therapy. I need to sort
yeah,
this out. And I was like, okay, thank God I trusted myself to say,
yeah.
your dad's pulling his pants down.
Absolutely. And you just have to, and I've had messages through before where um somebody's wanted me to tell somebody something,
Mhm.
and I've had to go back and say, I will, but I'm going to choose the timing because I'm not sure that they're ready to hear it right now, particularly when I get messages through for friends and family.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll be like, well, it's interesting you tell me that, but please trust me. Again, it's that trust thing to
Yeah.
make sure that they're in an emotional space that they can receive that message
Hmm.
before I give it. Because
Yeah.
you can't just ring someone up and say, "Hey, I've been chatting to your dead dad, and he wants to tell you this."
Yeah. I'm in a meeting right now.
Yeah,
Hang on.
I'm in Asda right now. Yeah. So you have to kind of say you have to kind of work with spirit, and then there you have to kind of ask them to present messages to you at times and in places and in ways that make sense. So I will often ask them to organize themselves on the left or the right, depending on whether they're on the maternal bloodline or the paternal bloodline. So as they come through to me, it's like, okay, this is grandma and they're this side, so I know that that's
Yeah.
mother's mum, or I know that it's dad's mum, depending on where they come through. And they're willing to work with you. You just have to ask them and tell them how you want them to organize themselves a little bit, because it
Brilliant.
can be quite challenging when you get somebody, particularly if they've not had a reading before or they've not had a reading for a long time, and all of a sudden you get sort of like this crowd of people coming in behind them, and it's like they've got this whole host of relatives and several spirit guides popping up, and it's like, okay, we're going to have a deli counter and you're all going to take a ticket and we're
Yeah.
going to get to you in turn. Because sometimes I feel a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen the BBC series Alison Ghosts, where all of a sudden when she gets her gift, like she can see all of the ghosts that are in the mansion all at once. And she's like, right, one at a time, you,
Yeah.
what do you want to say? Because otherwise, sometimes as a medium, it's like, okay, you're just going to have to form an orderly queue, or you're
Organize
going to have to
yourself.
nominate a spokesperson, because
Brilliant.
this is going to be not just a little bit difficult for me to decipher,
Yeah.
but it could be quite overwhelming for my sitter as well to say, oh, by the way.
And that communication as well, and that relationship that you build up with the other side,
Yeah.
that can take some practice and some learning. How long did it take you to kind of develop that and to figure out the language that you use with them and the way that they come to you?
I mean, firstly, I'd say that you never stop learning that and you never stop developing that. I think that's a continuous journey. I think it took me probably about 3 years before I was willing to take a client that was paying to see me with
Yeah.
mediumship. I think with Reiki, that was probably a little bit quicker because I think that developed a little bit quicker. So I was there within a few months with Reiki, but feeling confident enough to show up at a mind, body, and spirit fair and lay out your tablecloth and say, right, come and see me, to probably took me a few years to get the confidence there. Doing training, sitting in circle, working with other mediums, being mentored, asking for advice. Um, but it's like anything. It's practice. Is it going back to sort of riding the bike? You're not going to be presented with a bike one day and just be able to ride it. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of practice to get there. And even once you've learnt to ride it, there may be days where you're a bit wobblier than others because of other stuff that's going in. You're having a stressful day, so your balance is not quite where it needs to be. Or you've got a lot on your mind, so you're not watching out for the cars that are coming quite as well as you
Yeah.
should. And so I think I don't think it's ever a learning mediumship and spiritual stuff. I don't think it's ever something you stop learning, or it's just a case of continual practice and trying new things. Like, okay, this worked last time, but I've just spoken to my friend who is also a medium and she's doing this. Maybe I'll give that a try.
Yeah.
Go for readings yourself.
Yeah.
Get other mediums you know to read or heal you. Because whilst I do read for myself, it's really difficult to read for yourself.
Hmm.
I'm pretty good at channeling my loved ones. I talk to my dad, who's passed, every day, and I feel very, very close to him. And I feel very privileged that I can have that relationship with him, even though he's passed, because he still has a very significant presence in my life in a beautiful and positive way. but I think reading for yourself is challenging because you do doubt yourself more than if you were, and healing yourself more than if you were doing that for
Yeah.
somebody that sat in front of you that you don't necessarily know. Because I always worry, it's that kind of imposter syndrome. Am I projecting
Yeah.
onto these cards, or onto the spirit that that's what I want to hear and that's what I think I should hear
Yeah.
today? And so somebody coming in and doing that objectively can
Yeah.
really help you. And you pick up things as well. Okay, they're reading the Nine of Cups that way. That's a really interesting way to read that card. I
Yeah.
might watch out for that next time I'm reading that card.
Yeah. And so you spoke about like the dangers as well of where sometimes you might be low and you forget about cars or things like that. How do
Yeah.
you protect yourself in your day-to-day kind of life, or how do you say no, I need to have my human moments right now? Can you
Mm.
like bugger off for a little bit but come back? I need to be a human for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we all you just have to ask. But spirit, I think, are pretty good at regulating you. And if you take on too much and they think it's too much for you, they will stop it. So I'd booked in quite a lot of fairs over weekends during the course of this month. Last week I got flu. I had to cancel Saturday and Sunday of working.
Yeah.
But I think it was just Spirit's way of actually going, no, you need to rest and heal yourself before you go through the next round. I will be working this weekend. And I'd worked the weekend before. So I think Spirit were like, actually,
Yeah.
um, this is too much. And it becomes a relationship. Once you start having a relationship with Spirit, it becomes a relationship where you look out for one another. So they look out for me and they protect me while I'm doing readings. And that's what my spirit guides are there for. That's what my loved ones in spirit are there for, to look after me. And they will also call it if they feel I'm doing too much. And they will say, no, actually, now's not the time for that. And
Yeah.
they will instigate stuff. If you don't stop, they will stop it for you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody likes a tower card moment, but
Yeah.
they will do it when they feel it's the right thing for you. And like anything, you just have to trust the process and surrender to it. Because
Oh,
as we talked about
surrender.
before,
Yeah.
things that feel bad at the time and painful happen, but most of the time they happen for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And surrender, that keeps coming up at the moment.
Surrender.
Oh, and it's awful. Like having to surrender can be so painful and so uncomfortable and weird. And but having that faith and that trust that actually what's right is coming,
Yeah.
but you
But
just
isn't
need to
that the
give up
human
control.
experience? The human experience as a physical person is to want to control.
Yeah.
I want to put in controls, and we want to create laws, and we want to make sure that everyone's doing everything in a certain way.
Hmm.
But actually, what we need to be is kind
Yeah.
and generous,
Yeah.
look after one another,
Yeah.
and just experience life.
Yeah.
And actually, if we do that and just trust that spirit will look after us, is that does that not take away a lot of that anxiety?
Absolutely. And that's so like, and it's like getting readings and healings from other people as well. Even when you are capable of doing it yourself, giving up that control is such a beautiful thing because you're handing yourself
Yeah.
over to another person and being like, look, help me. Can you, I've tried myself and it's, I'm doubting myself now. Can you step in, bring in the big guns and help me with this?
Absolutely. And we all need help. I mean, we're all familiar with it, the expression, it takes a village to raise a child, right? Why does that stop just because you turn 18? And I don't know, because there are all times in life where we're sitting there thinking, man, I need an adultier adult right now.
Yeah.
This is all, this is just a lot. And so it's just let go and surrender. It's always easier to say than it is to do. And believe me, it's not something that I necessarily find easy, particularly as a neuro sparkly person.
Yeah.
But it is essential to trust that you will end up where you need to be.
Yeah. And I think,
We often do.
yeah. And I look back at those moments where I was like, why is this happening? Like, I can't handle anymore. And then I look back in a year or two's time and I'm like, oh. And then they're chatting to me and they're like,
Oh,
see, we told you, if you just let go a little bit, it would have happened quicker. It's like, ah, okay, yeah, you're right. But I
there's a
think,
my favorite ever quote is from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It doesn't surprise you that I'm probably a bit of a nerd as well as like everything else that's going on. But it's Dirk Gently, and it's along the lines of I may not have ended up where I set out to go, but I've ended up where I needed to be. And that is the humanness of life. Nobody ends up where they thought they were going to. Their career takes a different journey. You may end up with a different life partner than you thought you were going to have. So whatever comes your way, it might not be what you set out to get or where you set out to be, but you will end up in the right place for you. You just
yeah.
have to trust it.
Oh, trust and surrender. The toughest words.
Trust and surrender. It's not easy,
No.
but it's it's truth.
Yeah. And when you look back
And
at
that's
your
all we
own,
have, isn't it, in life is truth and love, really.
oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when
Mm.
you look back at your own journey with like healing and your transformations, what moments
Mm.
stand out the most for you?
Oh, I think that's a good question. I think the moments that stand out for me, there were a couple. The first time I laid out my tablecloth at a mind, body, and spirit fair and actually welcomed clients was a massive milestone in my spiritual
Yeah.
journey. That was huge and that was a massive full moment for me, like taking that first step and stepping out into the unknown. So that
Yeah.
that was huge. I think the first ever reading I had, which was with a medium who is also a friend, where she first channeled through my father, and I was able to reconnect with him in a way that I hadn't been able to connect since he'd passed, because at that point he'd been passed around about 10 years.
Okay.
He passed when I was a young adult, and so being able to reconnect with him stirred such an emotion within me. I knew that this was my sort of trajectory to go on this journey and really um, feel it. And then there have been several meditations where I've connected with spirit guides where it's been all consuming, and I've just come out of that knowing that A, I'm on the right path, and B, this is right. This is the right thing um, for here and now.
Yeah.
Feeling that connection,
Yeah.
and no one can ever take that feeling away from you.
Yeah. It's
So
yours.
they might want to discredit it with some kind of study or whatever, but
Yeah.
that was my personal experience. If you don't believe it, then that's okay. You go
Yeah.
and do your thing. I don't want to control your life. You know, that's
Absolutely.
for you. You
Yeah,
know?
I've found since I've come out of the broom closet, there's loads of people that have been like, yeah, okay, cool, amazing. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's, get involved. Let's do. And then there's been quite a few other people like, prove it. Prove it to me.
Yeah.
And my answer is, I'm not here to prove anything to you. I
Mm.
have my experiences. You go have yours.
Yeah,
I'm not here to do that. That is
no,
not my mission. That is not my purpose.
absolutely. And you do get those people who very much want physical evidence.
Hmm.
And that's really tough because as a medium and healer, I know I've received negative comments, and I know on particularly trolling and stuff online, and I know other mediums and healers have as well, and that's really, really hard.
Hmm.
But as you say, it's like you want to have your experience. That's great, but I'm not here to validate your experience just the same as you're not here to validate mine.
Yeah.
Um, so why do you feel the need to come with that negative energy.
Yeah. So
I've
I,
also had the criticism like, oh, you're just reading my facial expressions and my body language.
yeah.
And I have to point out that actually I'm autistic as well as having ADHD. I've got a piece of paper that says I cannot read facial
Yeah.
expressions or body language. So I can promise you, I might link into your energy,
Yeah.
uh, but I'm not reading those cues because
No.
I don't know how to. But I think not being able to read those cues, going down a bit of a wormhole as
Hmm.
a child, made me very aware of people's energy early on. So people will say to me, how can you do mediumship readings if you're autistic and have ADHD? Well, actually, even as a child, I couldn't understand social situations at school. I found it very difficult. And that's even really hard as a teenage girl. I mean, being a teenage girl is hard anyway, but
Yeah.
trying to interpret all of that. And so one of the things I'd lean into was trying to assess their energy because that was all I had, right? Do I need to give that person a wide berth?
Yeah.
Are they, can I feel if they're feeling sad or can I feel if they're happy? And trying to feel my way round and negotiate my way round through high school using
Yeah.
that instead because I couldn't use verbal cues or I
Yeah.
used to take everything really literally. I couldn't use verbal cues or body language to ascertain what people meant. So
Yeah.
it probably helped me on my journey, if I'm honest.
So powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Um, if you could give some piece of advice to someone who's at the start of their own journey, what do you think you would say to them?
Do what feels good for you,
Okay. Yeah. Brilliant.
because every medium will work differently.
Hmm.
Every healer will work differently. Rather than trying to copy
Hmm.
what someone else is doing,
Yeah.
find your own path,
Yeah.
because your spiritual journey is your journey for you to do. And I think so many people get caught up in the Reiki healing has to be done specifically this way, or it has to be done, or the reading I'm giving has to be done specifically this way.
Yeah.
There are hints and tips that other mediums can help you. They will be happy to mentor. I know I mentor people, and I'm happy to talk to them about what works for me and what I know works for other mediums. But ultimately, it's down to you
Mm.
to
Yeah.
figure out what your journey and what your path is. I'm just here as a resource bank, if you like,
Yeah.
a verbal library. For those people to tap into as and when they need it.
Yeah. Brilliant. There's no written rule book on how this
There's no
goes.
way of doing it. And
Yeah.
you see that with meditation. People think there has to be like this specific rigid way.
Yeah.
And I think that's our physical experience, right? All the way through school, all the way through our adult life. There's a way of doing something. There's a method for every science experiment. There is a specific way we have to do everything.
Hmm.
And that works in that
Yeah.
sort of educational process,
Yeah.
but not for your spiritual journey.
No.
That you have to do it in the way that feels good for you, and your experience will be different to mine. But
Yeah.
unlocking what feels good for you is the key to taking the next step and ascending to that next level.
Yeah, brilliant. That's what I say to the when I have my Reiki students that come in.
Yeah.
One person could be seeing colors, another person could be feeling a certain thing. They're like, "But why are we not feeling the same?" It's like because you're different people. You've got different skill sets, and that's so beautiful that we can each go through life hearing and feeling different things.
Yeah.
And then, our journeys are completely different. It's not linear. That spiral could be, wonky
Yeah.
as hell. And
Can be different. And
yeah.
we're all, when you're a medium or you're a healer, you're called to work, right? It's something that you feel within you. It, you know that it's something that you've got to do, but ultimately you're in service of other people. And
Yeah.
so your journey and the thing that you are going to do will be unique to you.
Yeah.
And the people that come to see you will be drawn to you because of your healing or your reading, and that is a beautiful thing. That's why I always think people say, oh, you're training some new Reiki healers. Doesn't it worry you that actually that will take away? I'm like, no, not at all. The more healers there are in the world, the better for it, for a start. But
Absolutely.
everybody needs healing,
Yeah.
and different people will be drawn to others. And I've even turned round to a sitter before and said, I don't think I'm the right medium for you.
Yeah.
And so I think you need to go and see this person, or you need to go and have healing with that person, because I don't think you're right to be treated by me. And I think that's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
If you were a doctor, you would send a specialist case to a referral centre, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Your GP
Absolutely.
would not do brain surgery, so why would
Yeah.
not everybody's going to need the same therapist or the same therapy.
Yeah. And I think gatekeeping clients as well can be quite dangerous
Yeah,
because, and we need to be straightening other people's crowns and saying this person's amazing because we need that tribe of people together to, build us all up and to, yeah, if you just go to one person for everything, as you said, I wouldn't go to my psychiatrist for my foot pain. That's
no.
not, that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No,
Um,
absolutely
and
not.
what better validation for there is there a view of a medium? I know I've had because some people, and it's their personal preference, will like to have readings quite close together. Typically, if I have a regular client, I don't tend to read for clients more than every 3 months unless there's a particular thing that they want to focus in on, because I think you have to allow this stuff that came forth in your last reading time to unfold. And I think more than every 3 to 6 months is probably a waste of their money,
Yeah.
rather than anything else. And I don't like to see that. But what if somebody wants a reading more frequently? What better validation than, "Oh, actually, I went to see your friend that you recommended, and they said all of the same things that you did."
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, if you
Yeah.
want to pay twice for the same information.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But what better validation for you as a medium than somebody that is a peer that you respect bringing forth the same reading or the same cards for that person?
Yeah. Do you know, spending time with you today has been wonderful and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I love that you bring in the science element as well as, the spiritual, and then
Mm,
there's the physical element. You just look at everything so holistically, and that
mm,
is incredible.
mm.
So thank you so much for your
Oh, you're
time
welcome.
today. It's been lovely. And last thing I want to ask you is, how do people find you if they want to come and see you or they want to learn from you? Where can they find you?
Oh, well, you can find me at zoe'szenzoo.co.uk, or you can, there's a website there, or you can track me down on Facebook. And through both of those, you'll be able to get in touch with me via email or WhatsApp. So,
Amazing, amazing. Oh, well, thank you so
but
much for your
it's
time.
been lovely talking to you today as well, Lara. I've
Oh,
thoroughly
brilliant.
enjoyed our chat.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.